All right, hey everybody. It's your man Jaleel, the real deal, and today we are focused on how to sell, right? We're here to sell more confidently and profitably. So that's what we plan on doing today, is just diving right in and learning this proven process for selling. So there are 8 steps, and we're going to go ahead and dive in. We're going to start with the first one. So step 1 is going to be the challenges, okay? So every business owner, every customer, every potential client, they all have challenges, right? And sometimes we're assumptive about what those challenges are instead of just asking. And that's part of what this process is made up of, is interviewing your prospect to the point where you know everything that needs to happen. You know their challenges, you know their goals, you know their plans, you know their timelines, you know positive implications, you know the consequences. So there are lots of things to dive into, but getting into those challenges, really getting to the root of those challenges, is going to be very important. This is your first step. And I want you to treat each of these 8 steps very carefully, okay? So now that you've been in there and you say, okay, well, I'm going to use one of my consulting companies as an example. And I'll say, okay, well, you know, Mr. or Miss Business Owner, I understand it's challenging for you to generate more sales in your business, right? You know, can we go a little bit deeper into that? You know, can you give me some specifics on what are these specific things that are challenging you, right? And by going deeper like that, you can find out exactly what their problems are. Over time, as this conversation progresses, you're going to figure out that you're going to hear things like what they've tried, what worked, what didn't work, and you're going to be taking copious notes at the same time. So you're going to have this information. Sometimes I like to record my sales session so that I can get the context, I can hear tonality, that kind of stuff as I'm putting my proposal together. So as long as your prospect is okay with that, I could recommend that to you. So step 1, just to reiterate, is to get into the challenges, get in deep, try to figure out exactly what happened and make notes. So next, you want to get into their goals, right? Now, you know, in my case, I deal with business owners. So we know they've set goals, right? Either they said they wanted to make a crap ton of money, or they said, hey, I want to make $250,000 every 2 months, right, in my business, more specific sales goals. So that's really important, and you've got to get tuned in with those goals. You need to really make them reach back and say, okay, you know what made you set that goal? You know, where were you then? Where was your head at? You know, and let them tell the story, let them connect the dots for you. And again, make sure you don't miss a beat with that. So step 3, we want to talk about their plans, right? And as we're talking about their plans, the plans are great because as you're going through the sales conversation, you kind of already know, all right, they plan to do this, it didn't work. They planned this, it kind of worked, you know, and here are some of the things that came out of that. You kind of find out what's working, what's not working. You get a little more insight into the direction that they're headed. So that's really important. So you always want to really get in deep with those plans, figure out what worked, what didn't work. Be very specific, because what didn't work is probably going to be something you want to avoid, right? As you're working with them. So step 4, positive implications, right? So you want to get into future casting with the client or, you know, your prospect, and you want to say, hey, you know, okay, let's say we work together for the next 3 months, and then you've hit every goal that you've wanted to reach, Mr. or Miss Business Owner. I mean, how would that feel? What would some of the changes that took place? You know, would you upgrade your place? Would you move? Would you open another location? Would you hire more employees, right? You know, really get in and find out the positive implications, all the details. Get them to tell the story. share that vision in their head, or at least very, very well in this process, you could help them actually put it together, even if they've never had a vision. So that's really good to know the positive implications, because as you know that, then you know what they look forward to. You can position them for success. Step 5 is going to be possible consequences, right? And possible consequences is always a good question to ask, because I've had some people come to me at the last minute. They've been struggling in their business for a while, and they say, hey, this is the last ditch effort. We only have X amount of money left, and we're hoping this website's going to save us. And man, I couldn't believe it. So, I always like to ask what the consequences are, because, you really want to know, hey, are they taking their final shot before the final buzzer? Are they going to be okay? Do they have the budget to sustain a project like this? Those consequences are going to be really important. So if they tell you something like, hey, if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to close my doors. You're going to have to be really honest with yourself, right? And you're going to have to say, hey, look, I don't feel confident taking this, because I don't want to, be connected to the failure of your business. Or, you could be honest the other way, and you can say, hey, look, I thrive on challenges. When the pressure is highest, that's when I perform the best. I feel confident in taking this project on. And then that way, you're kind of setting some expectations there. So step 6, we're going to talk about the expected timeline, right? People have expectations. That's not unreasonable, especially when they're paying money, right? So what you've got to do is you've got to know, how long do I have to get them from where they are now to point B, right? That they've already expressed to me that they want to get to. How much time do I have to do that? Is that going to be a reasonable amount of time? Is it going to be a generous amount of time, right? You need to know this for sure, because if you don't, it'll be problematic. Your project takes too long, or your service takes too long to deliver. You fell short of the expectation. Just, go ahead and make sure you deal with that. So, okay, so now that we know, consequences, we know timeline, here's something that's really important. Step 7 is called authority. And authority is very important, because sometimes you'll do a sales presentation and someone will say, oh yeah, well, just pitch the whole thing to me. It's no problem. I make the decisions around here. You go through the whole presentation, then you find out later they're not in charge of anything. And they're going to try to regurgitate your whole presentation to their boss to make themselves look good or feel better, or, just do their job generally as a gatekeeper. So, you've got to be aware of that, and you've got to ask the question about authority. If I made my offer right now, Mr. or Miss Business Owner, is everyone who would everybody who's required to be there at the signing, to sign the contract at this table now? And if that's not the case, then you need to be able to identify the other authority people in your circle, right? In their circle, you need to make sure everybody's present, preferably before you get into your presentation, right? Because when you get into your presentation, that's where you don't want the diluted message, right? You don't want to do that presentation for the gatekeeper, and then next thing you know, well, I've got to take this back to the boss. It gets diluted. No, you kind of want everybody there, even if it's a Skype call in person. Find a way to make that work. And of course, step 8, the final step, right, is the budget. And of course, we saved that for last. We want to make sure that they can afford what it is that we're offering. And that's really important, right? We don't want to surprise people. So we want to find out, hey, what's your budget? What's your expectation? How much were you planning on spending? How much can you spend in online advertising for the next 90 days, right? you've got to ask those specific questions to make sure that they can afford you. Now, sometimes people can't afford my services, and that's okay. But I always stay partnered with other people who do great work, who maybe do that a little more cost effectively than I do, than I offer my services at. So I take that as an opportunity to refer someone or refer them to a self-serve solution where they can really help themselves. So that's really important, is to really know what you're going to do there. So here's the fun part, is that we're going to go through the 1 through 10 closing, right? And the 1 through 10 closing is one of my favorite parts, because it helps you kind of bridge the gap. It helps you find the pieces that you may not have even known about. So what I do is, after I've asked all those questions, I'll say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the absolute worst, 10 being the absolute best, right? Where did this conversation rank? And they'll say, okay, great, it was an 8. And then at that point I stop and I say, okay, well, that's a little bit higher than what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe a 7. I always kind of go a little bit lower, right? And then I go back and I say, you know what? I thought it was a 7, but that's an 8. Thank you, right? But what can I do to bridge the gap between 8 and 10, right? What is it that I'd have to add to this here to make 8 into 10, right? And then I'll think about it and they'll say, you know what? You never mentioned this, or you didn't mention that, or you did mention this, but it didn't meet my needs because of A, B, and C, right? And this is where you're again taking notes, or you're recording, so that you can go through this later and make sure you include this in your presentation. So that's really important, the 1 through 10 close. That's about it. I mean, you're going to go to creating the proposal next. And creating the proposal now has become easy, right? Because you're the savvy salesperson who already asked all the right questions. And now you can start to tailor your solutions around the challenges, the plans, the goals, the positive implications, right? You can make sure that they're going to match the budget. Everyone was present, as far as authority, right? So you're on the fast track, and that's a great thing. So now we're going to dive into the final piece, which is presenting. And presenting is very important, because presenting is not just saying, hey, we can do this, we can do that. We're actually talking about this sale. So once we've gone through everything, we're selling right at the end of it. And we're going to say, okay, here's a tailored solution. You said you had these challenges, these things here, they fix those challenges. And you're going to go through the entire list. And then at the end, you're going to pitch your price. And then you're going to say nothing. And let it absorb. Let it just stick. Give it a moment to marinate, to soak in, right? And you'd be surprised at what happens next. So this is really important, that you do this the right way. But following this has always worked for me, and it works very well for my clients. So let's hear from one of my clients, Brittany Lloyd from Red Door Consulting, and she's going to tell you a little bit about how we've been able to help.
I'm sure I'm one of the millions of people ranting and raving about High Velocity Global. I just want to say thank you for everything. I've been working with these guys since about September? I think it's been about September. And my business has skyrocketed. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I've gone literally from $15,000 in sales for the year to since September, I'm already at $62,000 because of all of their marketing strategies, because everything that I've implemented into my business, and I've done everything that they've told me to do. So I just want to take this moment to say thank you, Jaleel. Thank you for everything that you've done within my business. Thank you for continuing to just look after me and make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do so I can monetize everything and get where I need to be. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, High Velocity Global.
All right, so now this is going to open the door to a few opportunities that I'm offering here. So one, let me go ahead and switch over to my computer real quick. All right, so what I want to offer is I want to offer the opportunity for you to take advantage of our consultation. So when you click on the link here, you'll find that in the description of this video. You'll just want to go here, choose your time zone. I'm going to choose mine. I'm going to hit next. And then the calendar will open up, okay? When the calendar opens up, you can choose a time slot here. Green check, yes. And then once you get into that, you'll just fill in your details here. And then once you've made your payment, you'll fill in your details, you'll make your payment. And then after you've made your payment, you're scheduled, you're booked, you're going to get confirmation. And that is exactly how easy it is. So just head on over to the website, sign up for the 60-minute consultation. We're just going to wrap a little bit and we're going to figure out exactly where you're at, figure out where you want to be. We're going to talk a little bit about your business, right? And then once we've done that, we're going to make some suggestions, some recommendations of where to go next. So, you know, this is a great time for me to make an offer for my Sales Velocity 4-week course. And this 4-week course is great because you're going to get some opportunities to collaborate with a couple other business owners. You're going to get an opportunity to learn these sales practices. You're going to actually start role playing some of those so that you can get used to your delivery, you know, how you're vibing with people, and you'll get feedback from other people in the class. So this class is only for 7 people, okay? 7 people total. Once I've got 7, it's done. And that's a small group because I want to be able to help everybody. I want to make sure everybody gets the attention that they need. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and sign up for the Sales Velocity course. This course is going to be amazing. You'll have homework to do. There's some self-serve video in there, so you can go in week over week. Those videos are going to be delivered to you 1 week at a time, and then you'll be able to go through this sales course, and you'll understand how to implement this into your own business, how to train your sales team, how to get yourself out there, and really start to make some more money in your business. So I really appreciate it. I'm gonna have to head out. You know, it's time to go and enjoy myself. And so I hope that you've, let's not forget the phone number. So if you have any questions, you want to get some help signing up for Sales Velocity, the 4-week course, sales training course, or if you want to speak with someone and get a consultation scheduled, we'll definitely help you do that. You can give us a call at 832-777-5022. And that number again is 832-777-5022. Just call and one of our team members will help you get set up and help you get started. All right, well, it's been fun. Can't wait to see you guys on the next training. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time and your participation.